Good evening. We'll be getting started shortly.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, everyone. We're just going to give everyone a moment to come into the Zoom session, but you are in the right place. Once I see that count of participants start to slow down, we'll go ahead and get started. Just give us another minute. Okay, it seems to have slowed down. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Sarah Limberg. I am the Director of First Year Admission here at the University of Mary Washington. You are joining us this evening for our webinar about understanding your UMW bill and your different payment options. So thank you for joining us. A little housekeeping to go through before we get started this evening. We are recording this webinar, so the recording will be available to you and will be sent to you via email after the presentation, likely tomorrow or on Tuesday, because we will be closed on Monday for the holiday, but we will send it afterwards. So feel free to take notes, but also know that you will get a recording afterwards. Please ask any of your questions in the chat. The chat feature is on, so please feel free to ask questions as you have them within there. Our presenters this evening will answer questions towards the end of our session and after they're done presenting. And we are in a Zoom meeting session, so you can be seen and heard. We would love to see some faces, but we totally understand if you don't want to be seen. So feel free to turn your cameras off. We do ask that while our presenters are presenting that you do keep yourself muted to not overspeak them. But at the end, if you do have a question and would like to unmute, you will be able to do so. And with that, I would like to turn it over to our first presenter this evening, Miss Alicia Tisdale, our Associate Director of Financial Aid. Thank you for joining us, and the floor is yours.
All right. Good evening, everyone. We want to thank you again for attending this tonight's financial aid chat. Just to add a little bit, we will be presenting on behalf of the University of Mary Washington's Financial Aid Office and the Office of Student Accounts. Tonight's presenters will be Molly Smith, who is our Assistant Director of Loans here at the University of Mary Washington's Financial Aid Office. We have Melissa Clark from the Office of Student Accounts, and Ryan Snellings also will be part of the chat. He will be answering questions in the chat. We just want to say thank you again for attending. We know that you could be doing other things, but you've chosen to be here with us, and we are grateful for that. As was said earlier by Sarah, if you have any questions, please ask them in the chat. We will do our best to answer them. And due to privacy, we ask that if you have any questions or concerns that is specific or it's your personal information, that you refrain from sharing them in the chat and you reach out to our office individually. During the chat, you will see us, we will enter our financial aid contact information, and then Ryan will be entering the student accounts contact information. And with that, let us begin our presentation. Your UMW bill and payment options. And our first slide, tonight we're going to be talking about or discussing authorized payer, delegated user, your UMW bill, and your UMW payment plan and other payment options. As we said before, if you have questions, we will have a Q&A question session at the end of the presentation. But meanwhile, you are more than welcome to put your questions in the chat. If I can have you, Sarah, go back to the first, I think there should be a slide before this slide that will detail some additional information. Should be slide 2. Okay, here we go. So May 1st, or the month of May, and these are dates of what to expect. May 1st was decision day, so yay to all of those of you who have accepted your offer. If you are still not sure or undecided, you can reach out to our admissions office to have any questions answered, or you can contact the Office of Financial Aid with any questions or concern that you may have. What I'm going to do, and I did not say this as I'm talking, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera, as this sometimes give us better reception. So there we go. So for also in the month of May, as you know, our payment plans are now open and you'll get more information regarding the payment plan as the presentation goes on. The Office of Student Accounts will be giving some information, detailed information regarding the process and how to enroll in the payment plan. Our UMW scholarship application was closed on May 15th, and our office is anticipating sending out emails mid to early June to our scholarship recipients. Please note we will be sending the emails to your UMW email account, so you want to always watch your UMW email accounts for updates. June. In June, we're doing it now, but we're kind of ahead of the schedule, but we are currently sending emails and text messages to students that have been selected by the federal government for verification. The emails are detailed with the items needed to satisfy your FAFSA verification requirement. Please keep in mind when you are on campus for orientation a little later in the month of June, you can bring the requested documentation and we will be accepting them then. After June 15th, and we'll talk more about this in depth, we are encouraging families to apply for Parent Plus loans as well as alternative loans. Molly will be sharing information regarding that process. At this time, we would like to take the time to thank all of our active duty and retired military service members along with their families for their service. We will be having a Veterans Benefits chat, so stay tuned for more information to come regarding the date and time. In the month of June, you should have already been receiving emails, and we are hopeful that everyone has signed up for an orientation date. But if not, it's not too late. Please watch your emails or reach out to one of the offices to get instructions on how to sign up for an orientation date. And during July, and this is for our military families, on July 1st, those that have already been deemed as being eligible for the DMS DEP, some people say BIM step, and you are enrolled, the portal will open up and you will be able to log into the portal and put in your students' enrollment. And then while we're all here tonight and so excited, early to mid-July 1st, fall bills will go out. Next slide, please. One more open. Okay, so also tonight we will be discussing our delegated user and authorized payer. This information is very, very important to our families. Delegated user is a financial aid function. And with the delegated user financial aid function, what that does is allow the Office of Financial Aid to share specific information regarding the financial aid status in the absence of the student. And this goes in line with the FERPA Act. It prohibits the university from sharing information without the student's permission. And I'm speaking to parents now. I am a parent too, but I'm also talking to myself. We often have parents feel like I'm paying the bill, and because I pay the bill, I should have access to the information. But the students have to grant our office permission to be able to share the information with you. The delegated user usually is a parent or a grandparent or a guardian, and the way student gives permission is through the Banner SSB portal. Our office will be sending out instructions on how the students can enroll their designee, and then also during orientation, we will have student accounts as well as financial aid. We will be there representing to help students enroll in the plan. So now I'm going to be passing the presentation over to Melissa Clark with the Office of Student Accounts, and she'll be talking about the authorized payer and also some payment information.
Hi, everybody. I turned my camera on really quickly so you could at least see who's speaking, but I'm going to turn it off while I'm presenting. So I'll be handling the next several slides that deal with the UMW billing process, as well as the payment plan and some of the other payment methods. So to go back to what Alicia was saying, the Financial Aid Office has the delegated user function. The Student Accounts Office has what's called an authorized payer. And this is important because parents or other student supporters will not receive billing statements, will not be able to make online payments, and will not be able to speak with the student accounts office in any kind of detail around the student account unless they are signed up as an authorized payer. The student is the one that actually initiates the authorized payer access, and they will do that through EaglePay, which is the student accounts billing and payment portal. So for additional information on that, you can go to the student accounts EaglePay webpage. Next slide, please. Okay, student accounts billing, everybody's favorite subject. So the Office of Student Accounts is responsible for student billing. While we work very closely with the financial aid office, we are a separate department. A lot of people get our two offices confused. But the bills are distributed via EaglePay, which I mentioned earlier is our billing and payment portal, and they're distributed throughout the semester. They're typically four fall bills and then 5 spring bills. The initial fall bills will be available in early to mid-July, and those will be due by early August. Billing notifications are sent to the student's UMW email address and any authorized payer email addresses. We do not mail any bills. The payments are due in full by the bill due date. That will be included on the bill unless the student is enrolled in a university approved payment plan. So we have created a really short video. It's only about 3 minutes long. And that's found on our EaglePay, the student accounts EaglePay webpage. And that will give you a little more detail on viewing and understanding your UMW bill. Next slide, please. Okay, student accounts billing e-refunds. I cannot stress this enough. Students are strongly encouraged to enroll in e-refunds in the event of an account overpayment. So for those of us that have been around a little longer, this is also called direct deposit, and it allows any refunds to be directly deposited into the bank account of the student's choosing. If the student is not enrolled in direct deposit, then the refunds are issued as a paper check. And quite frankly, if in our experience, students don't pick up the paper checks. So if you have any additional questions, want some additional information on that, you can go to the student accounts e-refunds webpage. I did see a chat kind of pop up when I was talking, asking to go back to the previous slide. Okay, student account billing. So I don't know if there's specific questions related to what I spoke to there. You can put those in the chat, and then Ryan will be happy to answer those questions for you. So I'll give you just a minute to review that, and then we'll move forward. So we'll go ahead, I guess we'll go ahead and maybe 2 slides forward after e-refunds. Okay, so student accounts payment plans. This is a very popular subject, and I know a lot of the questions that came in prior to this chat were around the payment plan. So I'm going to go over this high level, and then obviously Ryan is available to answer questions in the chat, and we'll have Q&A at the end of the presentation. So the payment plan is optional. You will enroll in EaglePay each semester that you want to use it. There is an enrollment fee, and then there are credit card payment processing fees that apply. It's important to note that the university does not receive these fees. They are charged by our third-party partner that manages the EaglePay portal. The number of payments will be determined by your enrollment date. For fall and spring payment plans, there are a maximum of 5 payments and a minimum of 3 payments. For the summer, there are 2 payments. The payments, I think Ryan addressed this in the chat earlier, but payments are automatically processed on the 5th of each month. There are two payment plan phases. So the first is budgeted, and the best way to think of that is an estimate, and then there's the actual phase. So during the budgeted phase, this is before charges are actually placed on the student's account. So the payments are determined by the estimated costs provided by the student or authorized payer when they enroll in the plan. After the budgeted phase comes the actual phase, and this is after charges are placed on the student's account. The payment plans rebalance to reflect the actual charges, and payment adjustments occur if there are discrepancies between the original budgeted amount and the actual amount. EaglePay notifications are sent to students' authorized payers to students and authorized payers advising of any upcoming payment plan adjustments. You can go on to the next slide. Okay, so reasons that the student account or the payment plan may adjust. There are a couple different reasons, or actually several different reasons. So one of them is financial aid awards and adjustments. If a student adds or drops a class, that can impact their bill. It can also impact the payment plan. If there are changes in housing and meal plans, or there are any additional charges such as parking tickets or digital book fees. So we do encourage students and authorized payers to check EaglePay regularly for any student account or payment plan adjustments. The most up-to-date balance can be found in the View and Pay account section on EaglePay, and you've got a screenshot there in front of you of what that screen looks like. And information related to your payment plan can be found in the payment plan section of EaglePay. So we will go on to the next slide. All right, so the fall payment plan is currently open. It opened mid-May, and we are currently in the budgeted or estimated phase. So I touched on this a little bit earlier, but the number of payments is determined by the enrollment date. So if you enroll by July 4th, the maximum number of payments, you'll get the maximum number of payments, and the first payment will be processed on July 5th. We have created a new estimated billable cost calculator, and I've actually got a picture of it on the screen that is available on the main student account webpage, which helps you to estimate your tuition, your fees, housing, and meal plan costs based on user selections. Keeping in mind that this is just an estimate and also does not include any anticipated financial aid or third-party assistance. And if you have any issues with that, or if you have any questions and you want to better understand how to estimate your fall bill, you're welcome to reach out to the student accounts office. We do have additional information on the payment plan, and we have a very short video you can watch that goes into a little more detail, and that can be found on the student accounts payment plan information webpage. So next slide, please. All right, so additional methods of payment, we'll talk through these at a very high level. So in addition to credit card and e-check payments, though that are accepted through EaglePay, we have other methods of payment that we accept, cash and check. 529 plans, there are always a lot of questions around how that works, and it really depends on the type of the plan. If we have time at the very end, I can go into a little more detail about the different plans and what you would do in order to get those funds to UMW. There are also outside scholarships that we accept, tuition assistance, third-party payments, veterans benefits. There are a variety of veterans benefits, and the coverage really varies depending on the on the benefit that's used. So again, at the end of this presentation, we can, if you'd like, go into a little more detail about the different veterans benefits, and also keep in mind that we do have an upcoming chat specifically focused on VA benefits. So stay tuned for that. We also have the VMS CEP program, which is state-run veterans program, and then also we accept international payments through a portal called Flywire. So for if you want additional details on any of these methods of payments, you can go to the Student Accounts Method of Payments webpage. It does have a block on 529 plans with very, very specific instructions if you want to refer to that. Next slide, please. I think we skipped a slide. There should be a veterans benefits slide somewhere. There it is. Okay, this is just a listing of the different types of veterans benefits. So with the exception of the VMSDEP program that is run by the state of Virginia, the registrar's office manages all of the veterans benefits. The VMSDEP program is a little different. Financial aid manages the one-time stipend benefit, while the student accounts office manages the tuition and waiver benefit. So I think at this point, can we go ahead and advance? I think it's going to get turned back over to Molly in financial aid, and she'll talk about private loans.
All right. Hi, everyone. I saw that there was a question that just came in before we get into the private loans section of the presentation. So when you are applying for private loans, we find it helpful if you go in and apply for the whole year. And we do that through a third party called Elm-Select, which is the screenshot that is down below. So some of them are through specific banks, credit unions, and organizations. Some of the more popular ones that the University of Mary Washington sees is Sallie Mae, College Ave, Len Key, and Navy Fed are the ones that I kind of see more often than not. Um, so we always tell students that we will award your private loan up to your total cost of attendance. So when you are going in and applying for your private loan, go in and try to estimate based upon what is going to be on your specific bill. And then we will then certify the private loan, and then your lender will then be notified that we've received it. And then the payments actually come directly to the university. So once you apply, if I ever reach out to you, it's more just for clarification purposes, of a specific loan that I see. But for the most part, everything is done once you apply through the Elm-Select website. Everything is done through our end and our office specifically. Sarah, you can go to the next slide. So this is a slide a little bit more about the Parent Plus Loan, which is another option for families to use in helping to assist with payments for the overall payment for the year. So unfortunately, starting in this coming year in the fall, lenders or parents will only be able to take out a maximum of $20,000 a year, um, which is about a max of $10,000 per semester, with an aggregate loan limit of $65,000. I know you guys might be questioning, well, that math doesn't make sense. This was set by the Department of Education, and so this is something that is going into effect. And so we always recommend to parents to kind of make sure that we are looking and spreading out the aggregate loan limit throughout all 4 years rather than for three. Um, and so there's that. So in this case, families might need to rely on some additional private loans or other payments or payment plans as well. I will note if you have a current student that had a loan that was originated in the 2025-2026, so this current academic year, that means that you're grandfathered in, and so those loan limits that are on the screen are not specifically a part of that there. And you apply through this directly through the studentaid.gov website. And then, like the private loans, we then receive the information and then we process it and get it added to the account like a normal federal student loan. Um, so I saw a quick question about the aggregate limit. Is that per student? It's per student, per parent. So the overall changes that are coming into effect are not totally set in stone. So we're kind of still in the phases of trying to advise parents and their families in what to do. And so the grandfather clause, that's actually through the Department of Education. And I'm happy to answer additional questions at the end once we kind of get through a little bit more. But Sarah, you can go to the next slide. And I think that's it. Oh, perfect. So I guess I'll quickly answer the Parent Plus or the private loan question that is on. I would say it's a little bit of preference. And I'm happy to schedule some time to kind of go more in depth of between the two. Um, Sometimes I recommend that a Parent Plus one might be a little bit easier because we already have a FAFSA on file with that. But then also there are private lenders that might be a little bit easier, and that is sometimes in the student's name rather than the parent's name. So that's also another option. So, like I said, I will put my information into the chat, and you can feel free to reach out to me if you have any additional questions.
It looks like we have a couple of different questions in here. I'm seeing if we choose a payment plan, I assume payments are auto deducted. Do we get notice ahead of time of what exactly will be due at each month? Melissa or Ryan, I don't know if you want to address that
Yeah,
one.
I was trying to make sure that I was unmuted. There is Ryan, I can't remember. Actually, do you mind punting answering that question? I can't remember exactly how that works.
Yeah, so payment plans, they are auto deducted on the 5th of every month. It's a set in stone date for everybody. Um, when you sign up for the payment plan and set your budget amount, it's just going to take your total amount due and divide that up evenly. So you should have an idea of what each monthly payment will be. If there are any adjustments to the payment plan throughout the semester, you will get a notice, I believe, at least 10 days before. And that would come via email. And I can look really quick. Let's see. Um, yeah, any rebalances happen 10 days before, and then an email is sent if there is a change. And then 5 days before the payment is deducted, you get another email reminder that the payment is coming.
Thanks, Ryan. Next question. If you have submitted the UMW scholarship application, when will you be updated on next steps?
So as of right now, we're anticipating sending out emails around the mid 1st of June to mid-June, and then you will receive an email that will tell you what you need to do as far as accepting the scholarship. So all of that will come in the email when you're notified that you have received the scholarship. And then I wanted to also add to that, I think there was a question that asked, how do you apply to scholarships? When scholarships are offered to families or awarded to students, they are automatically applied. There's nothing besides accepting the scholarships. If it's a UMW scholarship that the student will need to do, it will automatically be applied to your bill if you've accepted the scholarship. If it's an outside scholarship, the scholarships are sent to UMW's cashier's office, and it is applied to the bill once again automatically. And please keep in mind that scholarships are split in half equally between fall and spring semesters. If it's an outside scholarship, unless the donor specifically says to apply it to a specific semester, that is also split in half. So you want to keep all of those things in mind when you are enrolling in the payment plan.
Thank you, Alicia. This next question goes back to questions on payment plans. It says, do I pay my bill every month, some amount, or a one-time payment for the semester? That is up to you. I will go ahead and say that. So you are not required to enroll in a payment plan, but the payment plans allow you to break up the semester's bill into up to 5 payments. There is an enrollment fee if you go into the payment plan, and I believe it is $60. I'll have Ryan confirm that, but I'm pretty sure it's $60. Um, and then in if you enroll in the payment plan by July 4th, then you will have the 5 payment option. So a payment a month leading through November or December.
Yeah, so you were partly right. It's $40 if you get in there
$40,
before July
sorry.
4th. If you get in there before July 4th. If you get in there after that, it is 60.
Thanks, Ryan.
So, yep.
So discount if you want to go with the 5 payment plan, which is nice. There's a question in here also regarding payment. It says, who do we contact to set up the 529 and or the payments? I'm assuming hopefully you already have the 529, but are you asking if we can get clarification on that question of are you asking who do you contact or how do you set up payments from your 529 to UMW? If you could drop that in the chat, then our folks in student accounts will be happy to answer that one. And Ryan and Melissa, another one for you. How are payments handled without a payment plan?
So you can make payments via EaglePay. You can do credit card or e-check payments via the EaglePay, which is the billing and online payment portal. You can also pay via check and cash at the cashier's office in person.
Another question regarding payments. What is the best way for divorced parents to split payments?
That's actually between you and your ex-spouse. So there can only be one payment plan. So it can't be split between two parents. So you guys would need to figure out how you wanted to do that.
Kind of thinking through that, Melissa, would it be possible because you enroll in a payment plan by semester? So if they were equally splitting things, could one parent do the fall semester payments and then the other do the spring?
Yep, that would work.
Just to give you guys an idea. Another question. Oh, we already had an answer to that one. Thank you, Molly. Let's see, just scrolling through. Do payment plans apply for 529 investment withdrawals?
So I think the question is really, can you use your 529 to pay your payment plan payments? So if you're using the payment plan option through the EaglePay portal, then you only have the option of credit card payments or e-check payments. You could have a 529 check sent to UMW or however the 529 plan works. And if it didn't cover the whole balance, then you could do a payment plan for the remaining, but you can't just use your 520. There's no way to link your 529 to the payment plan, in other words.
Thank you, Melissa. Let's see. Can someone address, it says, what do we do with outside scholarships?
So outside scholarships should be mailed directly to UMW's cashier's office if the donor wants to mail it, or you can actually bring it into UMW's cashier's office, which is located on the second floor of Lee Hall in the Student Service Center work area. So once again, you just have them mail it in, and we can, if someone could put in the chat the address to the cashier's office, if not, because I see there are several financial aid questions here. But if someone can put in the chat the address to mail it in directly to UMW's cashier's office.
There is a question, and I can actually answer this one. How soon can we expect to see fellowship amounts that have been awarded to show up in a student's portal? So I believe, if I remember the last name correctly, you are referring to the Piscopo Rogers Science Fellows Program Fellowship. And those fellowship awards are added to a student's account after we have registered them for the research course that is required to receive that scholarship. So it should be placed on the account once a student's been registered for their fall classes. Let's see. There's a question about what UMW scholarships are available now.
So the UMW online application, which was our foundation and departmental scholarship, closed on May 15th. And I think there was also a question about that. What there was students that had made their decision and had received their net ID was able to complete the UMW scholarship application. It is closed. However, we will be opening once we've awarded student, and if we have any scholarships that's available, we will be opening the application up again for families that did not have an opportunity to apply before the May 15th deadline. They will have an opportunity to apply again for any remaining scholarships. And what we can do, if you would like to reach out to our office, or either you can, I would suggest at this point, there is an option on the UMW webpage for the scholarship webpage. You can actually go and view the scholarships that UMW is offering or we were offering. So you can kind of go and look at it and get an idea of what scholarships were being offered. And the hope is when the application open up, you will get an email. It'll be at your UMW, your student's UMW email account, prompting them to go in and complete the application if they had not done so yet.
Okay, looks like a lot of things are getting answered by our folks in the chat. Ooh, just lost where I was. Sorry, let me see. Let's see what has not been answered. Sorry, trying to scroll through. Okay. So those scholarships will reopen after we have done the initial awarding with the students that were able to submit their applications by that May 15th deadline. So Alicia, do you have an idea of when to expect it to potentially reopen? Would you say July?
I would say July. I would say mid-July.
Okay. And then our last question to catch up. Oh, and I just lost it. Oh, what is the earliest date for an enrolled student to send their payment in via a 529 plan?
So the bills will not go out until early to mid-July. I would see you can send it at any time, quite frankly, but the actual bills won't go out until July. So you may want to wait a little closer to that time frame.
Okay. I think we have caught up with questions in the chat at this point. Do we have other questions? So there's a question that says we need to contact our state's 529 first, then submit up a payment plan with UMW. No, a 529 plan is not required to set up a payment plan. The payment plan and a 529 are totally separate. 529s are typically started when students are younger to help you begin to save for college as part of that. To set up the payment plan, you do not have to have a 529. There's another question that just says veterans discount. Can you provide some additional context around that, please?
Sorry, quick comment about 529. It's good not only when kids are young, you can still pay through 529, so you can avoid Virginia income taxes for this amount.
Our folks in student accounts, do you want to chime in on the benefits of the 529s?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything to probably add on that. But if somebody wants me to talk, if you guys want me to talk a little bit about the specifics of the 529s as a method of payment and kind of give you a high level overview of how to handle those in terms of getting prepared to send your student here, I'm happy to go over that.
Yeah. Hi, Sarah. I don't know if you can hear me. I had Jen Chaparro, I had asked about the 529. I just wasn't sure how, I understand they're totally separate than like making a payment plan, but if we have that account, I wasn't clear on how to set that up to be able to direct payment to UMW. And then if like, obviously it's not going to cover everything, but then say there's a balance due per month or, you know, whatever it may be, then how do you sort of have those two different payment methods happening at the same time?
Thanks, Jen. That definitely provides clarification around your tech question.
And
Yeah,
this,
I just, and out of, we're out of state as well. So I wasn't sure if it's different by state.
it is. And this is Melissa from Student Accounts speaking. So what you're going to want to do is contact your 529 provider directly for payment instructions, and they will most likely mail a check to UMW. It does need to go to the cashier's office, and it will need to include the student name as well as their student ID, which is their banner ID number. So what you could do is use the estimated cost or the calculator that we created that I called out a little earlier to figure out your total cost, and then determine how much you're going to pull out of your 529 that's going to come to UMW, and then do the payment plan for the remaining amount.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, like that's what I didn't understand, I guess, how you kind of do the two at the same time. Okay. But we'll know about the any scholarships available prior to needing to do that, like in July.
I'm going to bounce that back to financial aid on the scholarship question.
Can you please, I'm sorry, can you please repeat the scholarship question?
Sure. Just meaning that if we had applied, if my daughter had applied for scholarships and we haven't heard that yet, which I think you said you'll be middle of June when we would hear back, in order to be able to roughly calculate out how much we want to send from the 529 and then what is the balance that we need to set up on the payment plan.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, if you want to know more information about the online scholarship, if you are awarded the scholarship, how do you request funds after that for the 529?
Yeah, in terms of like how, like I know we have a general cost of attendance, but like then you say, oh, well, you're getting an additional $2,000 or something for scholarship, then obviously that affects what the amount due is.
Yeah. Yes, so that's why hopefully we will get the information out around June the 15th, somewhere, like I'm saying, first to mid-June. So when the bill wouldn't actually go out until July 1st, but what we will do, you can reach out to our office and we can tell you if the student is, once you have determined or we determined the student is eligible for a scholarship, what you would owe after that scholarship. We can take a look at your total financial aid packet and tell you how much you would need to request for your from your 529.
Okay, right. Thank you.
You're welcome. I've got a couple of questions, and it's been directly to me. And the question is, can you have more than one authorized payer? I think you already answered that, Ryan, but I don't know if student accounts want to answer it. Just say it out loud because I've gotten a couple of personal messages asking that question.
Yes. So yes, you can have more than one authorized payer, but you can only have one payment plan. So I think that's probably where the confusion came in. So the payment plan is assigned to one person, whether it's the student or one authorized payer. It can't be split between two authorized payers. But yes, you can have more than one authorized payer on the on EaglePay on the student account. So I also saw somebody said, yes, please go over 529 information. So I'm going to do a very high level deep dive on that for everyone. This information is also available on the student accounts website under the methods of payment section. So if you have an Invest 529 plan, you are
These are
going,
hours coming up, you know, just so you know, which
I'm
Neat.
sorry. Okay. So for Invest 529 plans, you're going to submit a withdrawal request to Invest 529, and you do that either online or you by mail. And you should do that at least 10 days prior to the payment deadline. Quite frankly, given the pace at which the Postal Service works these days. It takes a long time sometimes for things to get to the university. So I would give yourself probably a little more lead time on that. On that withdrawal request, you are going to indicate the amount you're requesting to be paid to us. The student identification number, they're going to ask you for that, and that's going to be the UMW banner ID number assigned to the student. And then the check should be mailed directly to the UMW cashier's office. If that address is not in the chat, we can add it really quickly. And then there's the prepaid 529, which in that case, you actually contact the Commonwealth Savers customer service and speak to them directly. And they get added, I believe, to a roster. The student gets added to a roster. Let me just check my notes real quick. Yes. So they get added to a roster that is sent to UMW, so we are aware that the funds are coming. With the Invest 529, we do not receive notification that those funds are on their way. And then for out-of-state plans, you'll need to contact your 529 provider directly for payment instructions, and then all checks need to be sent to the UMW cashier's office.
There's one last question in here. It says, where's the tuition calculator located? It's on the student accounts website, correct? I'm assuming you're talking about the payment plan tuition calculator.
So there, if you go to the UMW website and search for student accounts, it's going to be on the main student accounts webpage. So when you click on that page, it's just a big banner at the top that says student accounts, and then there's a menu on the left-hand side. You scroll down a little bit, and that's where the estimated billable cost calculator is.
Is there a benefit to doing the payment plan versus paying in full for the fall or the spring semesters?
No, I think it's a personal preference. You know, if you want to pay up front, we welcome that. If you'd rather use the payment plan, we would welcome that as well.
The only difference is if they do the payment plan, they have that $40 or $60 fee depending upon when they enroll.
Correct.
Okay. I think we have caught up again. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Hi, I have a quick question about scholarships. This is Emily Simone. I was wondering, I know the scholarship deadline has passed, but are you referring to separate scholarships that students would have applied to, or are you referring to something that comes out with the filling of the FAFSA as part of the FAFSA application process?
So the scholarship application that Alicia was referring to is our institutional scholarship application that is completed through a program called Scholar Manager and an application on the financial aid website. That is what was due by May 15th. If a student has
Okay.
outside scholarships, we will take those at any time.
Okay, got it.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. I have a question.
Yes.
My name is Jack Ramos. Thank you so much for this webinar. First of all, I asked about the veterans discount. I'm a veteran and just wondered if you all offered a discount for my daughter who's going to be attending.
So there's no discount for veterans. However, if you have veterans benefits that are available for you to put in your daughter's name, we have people in both the registrar's office or if it's the VMS DEP program or VENSTEP, that would be our financial aid office. If you have any of those benefits, then we can get you connected with the right person to talk about making sure that everything is done correctly to award your student those benefits within Mary Washington.
10-4, appreciate it.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
And this is Melissa from Student Accounts. Again, I just want to let you guys know, I know Alicia mentioned that financial aid will be at orientation. Student Accounts will also be there. So we'd love to meet you in person, first of all. And then second of all, we're happy to talk through any additional questions that you have. So we found the estimated calculator, but tuition is showing 0 for the fall semester. Let me look at it real quick. So you have to enter, did you enter your credit hours? I guess is my question. So there's, you select whether you're in-state, out-of-state, grad student, undergrad, the term, and then the number of credit hours. And that's going to calculate your estimate for tuition and fees.
For first year students and most transfers, they will be enrolled full time, which is between 12 and 18 credit hours per semester to also help with that.
Hi, good evening. This is Arun here. Quick question. So when we applied for the college, we did receive
Mhm.
X amount of scholarship. I think it was 6,000. Uh, so is that subject to approval or is it already applied? Because when we go to the portal, it shows that you're eligible for $6,000 scholarship. So when we get the bill, it's going to be the total bill minus 6,000.
Correct. So if your student was awarded a merit-based scholarship at the point of admission, and if it was the $6,000 scholarship and they're an in-state student, that would be the presidential award. That will automatically be deducted off of the bill that you receive, but only half of it. So half of it will be applied to the fall and half of it will be applied to the spring. So it'll show on the bill as a credit of $3,000.
Awesome. And we could still use the payment plan for the balance in 5 installments. That includes the boarding and lodging.
Correct.
Okay, and all of the details should be available in the bill when we get it, and we know exactly what the dollar value is once that's available to us.
Correct. But the tuition and fees have been set for 2026, 2027. And so Melissa talking about that tuition estimator calculator online, you should be able to put that information in to help you determine if you are going to set up a payment plan, how much each of your payments should be.
Got it. Okay, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Okay, I know there's still some questions going on regarding the loan limitations. I would definitely want to refer you to Molly because she's going to be our resident expert on those loan caps. And as she mentioned, they're still trying to figure out, or we're still getting guidance from the federal government of what that looks like. So please make sure that you touch base with her, and you can get in touch with her by reaching out directly to financial aid, which is finaid@umw.edu, and they will pass that on to her as well. There's a question about a due date of May 29th. There is no payment due by May 29th as it regards to tuition and fees.
No, it's due. That's for the summer bills.
Thank you for that clarification, Melissa. Merit-based scholarships are not adjusted each year. They are awarded at the point of admission, and they are not re-evaluated. They could be reduced or removed if a student does not meet the criteria as stated in their scholarship certificate that they should have signed in their admissions portal. All right, I think that hits all of our questions. I might go ahead and share, if we actually, Molly and Ryan, if you can drop the contact information for both student accounts and financial aid into the chat one more time, I think that would be extremely helpful for our folks. Remember, we did record this webinar this evening, so you will be able to go back and refer to it. And it will be sent to you all via email because you were registered for the event this evening. It will also be posted on the webinars page of the admissions website as well. So thank you all for joining us. We hope you have a great evening.